Hey guys, it's Doug and Four Towers, and we thought we'd do an extended episode today. This is episode number 8.
Yes.
Right on.
Can't believe we've done it already.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so the topic we want to get into, it's our rising case counts,
Yes.
our ICU numbers,
ICU numbers are at record highs too.
um, what our government has quote unquote deemed essential
And
and
non-essential.
non-essential,
Yeah.
and the fact
For
of
stores.
that also now we've learned that hospitals can ship you out without even your permission,
hmm
and if they have issues that they need space.
Right.
So
For what they're calling a major surge event, they can actually move you to a different hospital without getting our consent to do so, or a caregiver's consent. So they could just move you if they need to.
Let's dive into this.
And that just happened Friday, so
our case count as of today was over 4,000.
4,522 or 72.
Absolutely boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely boggles my mind.
Yes.
The
ICU numbers are at 600, so it's the highest it's ever been.
So let's put it to the point of we're on the slippery slope, and we're still moving at a snail's pace.
Well, considering at least in Ontario, I think at least one of the news or a couple of the news will tell you how much has been vaccines have been administered every day. So
Yes.
I think I didn't check it today, but it was like maybe 100,000 to 300,000 yesterday was administered. I mean, we haven't even reached, I don't even think 10% of the population even half vaccinated yet. So
and
like with the first shots.
And you see, we're going to continue. I think we're going to continue to see these numbers increase, and our vaccination program is going to considerably lag because we cannot get ahead of this because one, we don't have the medications we need.
No, we don't have enough vaccines. I mean, just today, York region is saying that they're going to have to shut down their mass vaccination sites because they're low on vaccines.
We're a First Nation country.
Just talk about this. Okay, so York region, I believe that's including Wonderland. There's a big vaccination
center there.
So the second time they've had to close. There's another one. I think I'm not sure if it's a mall or it's a conference center or something in York. They're having to close because they don't have the vaccines. And now they've also just talked about their because the AstraZeneca is only available in pharmacies right now. So
that's true.
Within the next week or so, they're saying they're adding 700 more pharmacies to that. So with what? You have no vaccines. I guess you have more AstraZeneca than anything, but
okay, and we've yet to hear about teachers in the education system being vaccinated. The special needs teachers are being vaccinated, and those who work in the schools that deal with the special needs,
dealing with special education.
So currently, with us right now, because where I'm stationed at, I'm dealing with the special needs section. So I can I'm eligible for it.
Right.
So
but that's starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Booking sites. But again, contingent on if there's vaccines.
But where you're still waiting to find out where
long way off.
when and where she can actually book. And this is ridiculous. It's
probably not for months.
We are a First Nation country.
Right.
We should be more on top of the game.
And if you think about it, we were one of the first to even order vaccines.
Of course.
Canada was one of the first to even order. And I mean, we ordered about I don't know how many of them.
No.
We were one of the first to do that. Out of, I mean, there was we'd heard. I don't know if there's other countries, but they were saying almost like that we're hoarding them because we're buying so many.
Yeah.
Because I mean, relatively speaking, on the grand scale, we're a small country compared to
Yes.
other. I mean, you're talking the
Yes.
States, it's 300 million people, you know, and like China, India, billion, and
Yes.
you know, all that. So technically, we're a relatively small country compared to them, not even half their population. So
Exactly.
and we're sitting at about 55th in the world
That
to be even vaccinated. I mean, there's countries who wouldn't think are ahead of us.
when you hear like countries in the Middle East that have completed
There's actually a few countries ahead of us in the Middle East.
that have completed their vaccination
Well,
protocols.
I don't know if they're completed, but Israel is about this close to finishing. Like they have majority. Now that's not to say Palestine. That's Israel. The Gaza Strip, though, I think is falling behind, from what I understand. But I don't know if that's. I would think that should be Israel's responsibility because it's one country. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Palestine themselves, like the Gaza Strip and that, have their own ways of doing it, like to distribute the vaccines or not. I don't know. I haven't heard. So, but I know majority of Israel, though, they're roughly 90% or higher fully vaccinated.
Yeah,
so
they're on the ball. Like
yeah,
they're
are. I mean,
getting the job done.
But like we said in previous coffees and chats,
Yes,
the countries that are ahead, pretty soon we're going to actually overtake the States with the amount of infections that we have.
Yes.
I mean, if you remember, they were really ahead of us for a long time, but they've completely ramped up.
Oh.
They've got more than 35% of the population vaccinated now, and they're not doing it like we're doing it. We're doing it based on age, primarily.
No.
And then say frontline workers and stuff. And when we talk about frontline workers, we're talking doctors, nurses, and they're not even all being done.
No.
There's still doctors, nurses who haven't been done yet. But the problem, at least with Ontario, I don't know if it's Canada wide, but at least Ontario, this is how they're doing it, is by age primarily. And that even each region is doing it differently. Like York region now is down to 45 and up.
Yeah.
Peel region is 60 and up for the general population, but if you live in a hot spot, it's 50 and up.
Yes.
So each region is even doing it differently. So depending where you live, you could be eligible or not. So, but I mean, the thing is, like we're saying, those who are ahead of us make their own vaccines.
Exactly.
Israel, I believe, does. India does. We've been getting vaccines actually from Israel,
Yes.
not Israel, but India and Europe. Belgium specifically. The States makes their own vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once upon a time, Canada did too.
Of course we did.
But back in the 80s, that was all shut down because it was felt it wasn't needed, it was too expensive. So we actually used to make our own vaccines. So, and believe it or not, we actually created many, like insulin was created here.
Yes.
I believe the vaccine for Ebola was created here and all that kind of stuff. But that went the wayside when it's all sold off.
Oh,
so if that was still here, we'd be matching them.
Of course.
But we're having to wait for shipments.
And it's like
to come in.
And it's like we've discussed in previous episodes. We need to bring that stuff back here.
Well, one thing we did hear about this.
Yes.
That in the last week or so,
that's right.
The federal government did make a deal with a French company to bring vaccines back here, development and making them here. With for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's a French company and also there is a homegrown company that is also working on a Canadian vaccine to COVID, and I believe they're starting trials now, and they will also be produced here, but it won't be started to even be able to be ready till the end of this year. So, You
see, this is like we've not dealt with this in the right way. We should have been more proactive.
there's, I think, a lot we could have done that we
Oh,
didn't
of
do
course.
from the beginning.
And now, like, let's call it what it is. We're paying the price for this
Sure.
because it wasn't dealt with in a more aggressive style.
Like other countries did.
Like
I
other
mean,
exactly.
the thing is, Canada adopted a strategy that a lot of countries did not. The states did, actually. The states did it more lax than we did, hence the almost out of control numbers that they had. But you look at how we did it to other
Yes.
countries that did what they call a zero COVID system, or a way they decide to go about this. You're talking about Australia, New Zealand, granted even China, although we don't really know how many actual cases. Japan's done very well too.
Yes.
They get hotspots, yes. Like
Yes.
they're to this day. I mean, even Australia, New Zealand get hotspots, but they clamp it down, and
Quick.
they actually literally lock down. I mean,
Yeah.
when they talk lockdowns here, well, you still see people out and about. I mean, granted, yeah, you're gonna go store crazy if you don't go out,
Yeah.
but
We're in a lockdown right now.
we're in a lockdown right now,
area.
stay-at-home order. But when they mean lockdown, they mean
mean
lockdown. I mean,
lockdown.
you can't leave your house. Italy did the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't even leave your house unless you can prove it's for essential reasons. So for a
Yes.
doctor's appointment or to get food, and only one person can go at a time. So hence they did a wipe out
Yeah.
aspect for this. We didn't go that
No.
route, and we actually did well at first. But then I guess COVID fatigue starts to set in. And I mean, I think part of the problem is the messaging that we're getting too.
Well, because it's
a bit nuts,
well,
you know.
It's so flim-flammy.
Well, it changes for one. Like we're constantly hearing specifically. I think maybe some people, they want to blame the federal government for this. Yeah. And yeah, granted, they're not 100% not to blame for this. But the thing is, the provinces are responsible for their strategy for each. So that's your provincial government, not the federal government. So if you think about it, Doug Ford, which is our premier, has said nothing's off the table. But
apparently,
right from the beginning, nothing's off the table. But the thing is, he's very slow to respond to anything. And I mean, I think even experts are saying this now. They're targeting the wrong thing.
Yes.
So
repeatedly.
So let's just shut the restaurants down. Let's shut indoor dining down. Let's shut hair salons down. Let's shut retail down. Well, there is some spread there. Like I think I've only heard maybe once or twice from like maybe a nail salon. But that's about it. I haven't heard of any from any restaurants because they're supposed to. They're trained.
Yes.
In hairstylists are trained to have everything very sanitary and all this, and they're inspected vigorously all the time, like every few months. So where they've been saying this from the beginning, where the breakouts are occurring are mostly big warehouses like Amazon, like Canada Post has yet another outbreak.
That's right.
That's a different facility though. It's places like that that are seeing these big outbreaks.
Our school systems
as well.
You know.
And remember, if you're in Ontario, there's only about 3 school boards that have actually shut down. I mean, this week it's April break. It's the delayed March break. But before that, when Peel, York, and Toronto, and no, York's is still open. It's Dufferin, Wellington, and Guelph that have closed. Peel and Toronto boards have closed. All other are open. But if you actually look at the provincial, there's 2 websites you can look at. Like at least with us, we look for Peel. But there's one that's provincial, so you can actually look and see how many, and it includes daycares as well. So how many outbreaks there is, and there's a lot. I mean, Toronto closed 20 schools down in one day. So I mean, it's spreading in the schools, and that's what they know of. So you know, I don't know. It's just kind of haphazard how they've been doing it. So they're not going where it needs to be targeted.
No. And we've said that time and time again. And detractors of the premier have said that time and time again. You're not dealing with the areas that are the areas of concern, and he's just kind of blah 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 with the whole thing.
Well, it's true. You keep shutting down the same
Yeah.
things. And they've never been a big driver
No.
of this. Even from day
No.
one, they haven't been. So why you keep doing the same
Well,
thing?
of course.
It's not going to change
No.
anything because you're still going to have these. No, they can't close. You know, because you still need to eat, still need distribution,
Yeah.
and still. But there has to be some way that either they're not complying. Some are
Mhm.
not, obviously. I mean, inspectors are going in there and they're saying that there's not always masks in this, not always 6 feet of difference. It's not always
No.
like some have barriers. Now, some big companies are doing very well and
Of
have
course.
done everything. They're not getting any kind of outbreaks
Yeah.
there. It's the ones that are that need to be, you know, I don't
Mhm.
know, regulated better. And now, when they're talking about the vaccine rollout, because how Ontario's doing it still by age,
Yes.
primarily, they've just started to go into the hotspot areas.
Yes.
So, which is primarily where the spread's occurring. So, which they really should have done, like almost from the beginning. I mean, yes,
Mhm.
granted, LTC homes needed to be long-term care homes, of
Mhm.
course, because they were horribly hit.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you know, they were saying, oh yeah, we're putting an iron ring around it. Well, then how come there's so many deaths from the long-term care homes then, if that was the case? You know, even the second wave, there was still a lot that they were hit pretty hard the second time around too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yes, of course you have to focus on that as well. But the giant spread in the community was not from that.
No.
It was from, again, the big workplaces.
Yeah.
So now they're finally starting to think, hey, maybe
Hmm.
we should vaccinate those people.
Maybe we should actually listen to what our public is actually telling us.
And
or,
what our experts are actually
you
telling
know.
us, you know?
Okay, the next thing, the non-essential and essential dilemma.
Right.
Okay, we actually went out today,
hmm
and we went to the Dollarama
Right.
and to the Shoppers.
hmm
How divergently different they were.
Now, granted, it might have changed by now, but
True, but
well, because remember, all other lockdowns, they've only really closed small stores
Yes.
to in-person shopping. With
Yes.
big box stores, pretty much could sell anything. Where small stores could only do curbside pickup and delivery.
Yeah.
They offered it. But now, because people have been saying from pretty much the first lockdown, well, how come they can't operate normally, but the big boxers are like nothing,
Yes.
nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to continue reaping in the profits. So
Of course.
people kept saying, let's close down the big boxers, close down the big
Mhm.
box stores. Well, now this time around, what they're doing, the big boxers can still operate, but they can't sell non-essential items.
Yeah.
The problem lies is what they think non-essential items are.
Okay, and this is what we saw. Okay, say you need a shower curtain for your home or your apartment, whatever. That's non-essential.
You can't buy that.
You can't buy
Not in
that.
the store. Now, bear in mind, Dollarama doesn't do curbside pickup or
No,
online ordering
no.
that I've ever seen.
But here's the kicker, though. You can buy paintbrushes.
Yeah, you can paint.
You can paint, but you can't. You still have to
You can't
use
have a shower.
You still have to use your ratty shower curtain.
Or if it's half fallen off the rod.
Yeah.
You
Or
can't do that.
you have a brand new baby. Baby clothes, as everyone knows,
Can't buy them clothes.
expensive as heck. Can't buy them clothes. Or
Can't buy shoes either.
can't buy shoes.
Or clothes.
Or baby wipes.
Or diapers.
That's all
At
non-essential.
least not a Dollarama.
But
Well, then we also thought this was kind of strange.
Yeah.
In the bath area, you know, you could buy hooks to hang up, say, whatever, your
Yeah.
towel or whatever in the bathroom. That was you couldn't buy. It was restricted. But if you go 1 mile over to the hardware, well, you can buy hooks there.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
And what we thought was kind of weird, this set of containers was
Yeah,
deemed
like
non-essential,
storage containers
but these ones over here
were okay.
were okay.
Like right beside each other,
Huh?
like Tupperware or glass type containers, sandwich containers. Like one section of them was blocked off. You couldn't buy them, but the ones pretty much either right beside or
Yes.
across you could buy. So I mean, what's the difference?
And like, you know, the kids are home. It's March break. There's nothing to do. No
Yeah.
real programs for them to do. So we wandered down the arts and crafts aisle.
Yeah, you can't buy crafts.
You can't buy crafts. You can't buy
Art
sketchbooks,
supplies, nothing.
crayons, none of that.
Toys, books,
Toys,
nothing.
nothing.
You can't buy any of that. Not Dollarama.
And if you got a birthday coming up, your mom's got a birthday
Can't buy
coming up.
birthday
Oh well,
cards.
you can't
Or
buy.
wrap.
We can't buy any of that. But
No.
you can get your kitty food, your dog food, your
Yeah,
junk
pet
food.
supplies, things like that. Like food, of course, essential food, medicines, beauty, like soap, things like that. Of course, you can buy that still, but now you can't buy a lot. I mean, yeah, some things you may or not think that they're that essential, but I mean, they can't even buy school supplies. I mean, kids are still in school right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
They may be off for this week, but they're still in school.
Yeah.
So what if they need a project they have to do? I mean, I know people are saying we could just buy it online and have it delivered or curbside pickup. Well, Dollarama, as far as I'm aware, doesn't do that. I've never seen them do that.
No.
Not at ours, anyway. And the thing is, those that do that, you tend to pay a higher price.
Of course.
I mean, granted, Walmart does have fairly decent prices. Yeah. However, not everybody buys things online.
No.
Or has the ability to buy things online.
That's true.
I mean, say you're lower income.
Yeah.
You may not have a computer. You may not have internet. I mean, they're struggling even for online schooling. I mean, schools are supplying these families with computers. Some families are having to go to these schools parking lot to use the internet because they don't have internet at home, or they don't have a smartphone, or they may not have a credit card to buy online. So how are they supposed to get things then that are essential? I'm not talking like stuff that you don't necessarily need, but even just school supplies or clothes.
Well, and
you know, I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you're a lower income, you don't necessarily have tons of shoes.
No.
You know, you might have one or two pairs. What if it suddenly gets a hole in it? Now you can't buy your. What are you going to do? Walk around barefoot? You know.
I guess so.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like what we deem non-essential, maybe very essential to somebody else. And I mean, same thing with some people might say we don't really need a computer. You know, kind of thing. It's not really essential. Well, what if you're working from home?
Like you yourself.
Like I work from home.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of thing. I need a computer. What if it suddenly goes, granted, I can buy things online. It's not a problem for me. Yeah. But it is for other
someone
people.
else. Yeah,
so,
of course.
I mean, then you might say, well, have a friend do it or a family member do it. Well, maybe they also don't have the family or friends who can do that. I mean, that's the problem with it.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I don't know, what do you do? I mean, you know, in that case, I mean, they're trying to keep people safe. I understand it, but I guess no solution's really going to be perfect.
Well, it's
just that some of the things with deeming not essential just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it looks like they kind of did this in broad strokes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get this item, but I can get these two items. I can get deodorant, but my kid needs socks, but I can't get socks.
Get it, yeah.
You know, maybe you need to fine tune it a little bit.
You might.
You know,
but like we were saying, we went to the Shoppers Drug Mart and everything was open.
Yeah.
So now, granted, I'm sure someone will probably report them because people do.
Oh yeah.
And that might change by the time we go back.
That's true.
But I mean, most of Shoppers, though, kind of is essential. I mean, it's primarily medicines and shampoos and things like that, and food. But I mean, they do have makeup and they do have perfumes and
some
stationery and stuff. And it's all open at our Shoppers anyway. You know, but again, that could change. It just really started, so that could eventually change. I hope not, because like I said, I mean, what's essential to other people it's non-essential, like,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
So,
Um,
and like they also said, a lot of the reason they wanted the big box stores to do this to kind of level the playing
it's
field
not
a bit
leveling anything,
with
really.
the small mom and pop stores. Now, the problem is this: it doesn't really level anything, really. Those who shop at Amazon or Walmart,
Yeah.
Dollarama, aren't necessarily going to start shopping at their local hardware store
No.
or clothing
No.
store just because the price difference and
Yeah.
also
The diversity.
diversity of products.
Yeah.
Ones like Walmart and Amazon have so much buying power behind them.
Of course.
So why they can offer such low prices because they buy in bulk. They
Yeah.
buy in volume because they get those
Yeah.
kind of discounts because they're buying so much.
Oh, yeah.
Small mom and pops just can't do that.
No, they can't
So
compete
of
with
course
that.
your prices are going to be higher. So if you're on the lower income,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily going to buy there because you can't afford it.
No.
Or, you know, so you're going to buy at a Walmart or, you know,
Mhm.
whatever else kind of thing just because it's cheaper
Yes.
for you, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really level the playing field at all.
You're
They're just, if they can, they're just going to buy it online anyway and
course,
do
you're
curbside pickup
yeah,
or
you're
whatever.
you're basically forcing someone like me who we live in an area where there's not a lot of
There's
like
not a lot of,
diversity,
no,
and
shopping wise, there wasn't.
we've had a lot of businesses close
Mhm.
in our area.
Well, our area has a lot of service
Yeah.
industry. I mean, there's a lot of hair salons,
Tattoo
nail
places.
salons, like restaurants, things like
Yeah.
that. There's not a lot of retail though.
No.
So I mean, for us, we don't have a lot of option to support local.
So
So we really can only go to the big box
and,
stores
and believe me, we both would love to support local if
and
there was,
have when we've had them.
and when we've had them, yes, we have done that. But when the option's not presented, you know, we have to go to the alternate means,
Right,
i.e., Amazon, Walmart.
right. Because they have what we need.
Yeah, and I'll do what I have to. She will as well. But like we said,
Yeah.
there's people who don't have the means to buy online and
No.
don't.
We actually know people who will never buy online
No.
because they don't either they don't trust it, they don't have a credit card,
Or
they
just don't
don't know
understand
how,
it. Yeah.
they don't know how, or whatever. I mean, you know, there's people who just cannot buy
Yeah.
online, so
No
now
matter.
you're leaving a big swath of people out,
Exactly.
you know, so what do they do? I mean, you can't just call up the store and say, this is what I need.
Yeah.
You have to order online.
Exactly.
So what do they do?
You know, and this, as we go forward, I'm pretty sure it's going to become more and more problematic. You know, and we'll have to see how it washes out. Because this is just the early days of this, of them sectioning off sections
Well, I
right
think
now.
because it really just started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they might tweak it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just some things that, like we're talking about shower curtains and I mean, even towels, bath towels and
Yeah.
things like that, bath mats, that's all off limits. You know, we'll think, well, that might actually be essential. I
Well,
mean, most
yeah.
people don't hoard shower curtains at home. They don't tend to buy in
No,
advance, you know.
no.
So I mean, you buy it when you need it. So now you can't. I mean, like we said, I mean, you could buy it on Amazon or Walmart or whatever. But like we said before, some people don't necessarily have the means to
No.
do that. So
Like my family who live in northern Ontario, they're not technologically
they
savvy
don't even
enough.
own a computer.
They don't even own a computer.
So what do they do?
So for them, that would really be problematic for them.
It would.
Um,
And they don't really have a lot of people they can ask
Yeah,
to
exactly.
order for them either.
So I worry about them in this aspect, you know, what if they need something or whatever? How are they gonna deal with that? So I'm hoping, like you said, that they streamline it, tweak it a little bit, and we'll have to see over the next little while because we are in this, as our Premier Doug Ford has put it, an emergency break to try and stop the rise of the cases.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, I mean, you gotta think it's pretty bad. Like we were talking about earlier
Yes.
in the chat, that now you if say there's a surge event,
Yeah.
and hospitals are overwhelmed,
Yeah.
especially the ICU patients, that they're not even going to ask you
You're
if it's
out.
okay that they move you. They're just going to move
Yeah.
you. I mean, even it might have been 2 weeks ago now, for the first time ever, Sick Kids Hospital actually opened an adult ICU wing.
See,
I mean, that tells you there's a problem here.
here's the thing that scares me. Like, we both have parents that are agents.
Yeah.
You know,
But they both have the vaccines, the
they
first
both,
shots,
you know, thank goodness, but see,
but no guarantee.
no guarantee. My mother's in her 90s. Your dad's in his
My
late
parents
80s.
in their 80s,
And-
yeah.
And heaven forbid one of them or all of them end up in the hospital and suddenly they get shunted elsewhere.
Or us.
Or us, you know? And because of the current situation, you wouldn't be able to come see me.
No,
I
we
wouldn't
can't.
be.
No.
And you're not going to be able to, that's scary that they're taking that your right of being able to say, no, I don't want to be sent
Hmm.
all the way up to that
That
hospital.
could be. It could be anywhere. I mean,
Anywhere.
on the news, we're talking about. I think it was Hamilton or Kitchener were receiving patients from the GTA. So, I mean, I know. I'm not sure if Collingwood, which is north of us,
Yes.
and Barrie also, which is north of us, are also receiving patients from the GTA. So, I mean, and now Sick Kids is too. So, I mean, which never did before. I mean, it's a kids hospital, very
Yeah.
well renowned kids hospital, and they're accepting adults 40, I believe, and under. So, but I mean, that's the thing. And now, I mean, before they'd actually have to ask your consent.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people don't necessarily want to be moved out because they can move you right across
Woo.
province if they need to.
And
And now they don't need to ask it because they need to do it so fast.
yeah.
Because there's so many coming in. I mean, I think just hospitalizations have hit about 15 to 1800.
And
You're
we're
talking
climbing.
province wide, not
Yeah.
just the GTA. And then with ICU at 600, that's roughly half almost of what ICU capacity is in Ontario. That's pretty bad. Now think, that's not just COVID patients. Like that's just COVID patients. But people in ICU, it's not just COVID patients.
No.
So,
So
I mean, everything else is still happening. People are still getting into car accidents, having strokes, having heart attacks, all this. I mean, this is all going on simultaneously
it's
as COVID is.
It's like Jumanji and things are just going off kilter here
Well,
with
then
us.
we also heard today that I think he's a critical care doctor. His name is Michael Warner. He's pushing, which they may be doing, the government, federal and provincial government, to actually bring in to Ontario ICU nurses and medical staff from other provinces that are doing better than we are, and they don't necessarily need them.
Yeah, and in that aspect, I do agree with this idea. If you have the staff, like your numbers, say Manitoba or wherever are low.
Counties is probably doing the best.
So if you have medical personnel that you can free up and send them to Ontario, where we are struggling.
Well, see, this is the point, though. I mean, it's a good idea, but the point is that they have to do that. Is that they need to ask medical personnel from other provinces. I mean, like we said, I mean, yes, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, and I believe Newfoundland are actually doing very well, have done very well from the beginning because they did it right from the beginning. But I mean, they still have their own issues. I mean, medical stuff doesn't stop there.
No.
But but the sad part is that we're needing to bring them in here because the case numbers are so high.
Exactly.
And our staff is getting so tired and exhausted. And they can't deal with anybody else. Like the doctors who are treating COVID patients, ICU and nurses, they can't treat other patients.
Because that's a cross-contaminant.
Dedicated to COVID.
Yeah, because it's a cross-contaminant issue. And so this is a situation that's getting far worse.
Yeah, and they said it would. I mean, they said because the variants now account for about 75% of cases in Ontario. So I mean, and they're saying it's really a race against time between the variants and the vaccines. And the problem is the variants are going to win
Yeah.
at this point because we're just not getting enough vaccines. We're not, there's not enough people getting vaccinated.
And that's evident.
And the thing is, some people who are anti-mask or anti-vaccine or think it's a hoax or whatever are really helping.
Well, that's
because I think it was today, there's a massive demonstration in downtown Toronto, like thousands of people.
And that's the I apologize. This just kind of makes my blood boil. I have family that's in the nursing field.
So do I. Yeah.
You have family in the field.
Mm-hmm. I know people who have had relatives or friends who have died from COVID, and they were not in their 80s, and they were were healthy, had no underlying health conditions. So I mean, I do personally know people that it has touched. So
I've worked every day barring 2 weeks during this whole thing.
Right. We've been working in a high risk setting.
And we're in a high risk setting. This negligent behavior kind of spits in the face of all of the people that have been doing the jobs to try and keep your kids safe,
right.
your mother safe, grandparents, whatever.
Yeah. All of us, yeah.
All of us. That's such a flagrant disrespect. And it bothers me to the very core. Because I do whatever I can to keep myself safe and to keep you safe.
Right.
Because I'm, she's blessed. She's able to earn her income from here within the home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that's going into this situation.
But see, if you think about it, it doesn't, just because I can work from home doesn't mean I'm safe from this, because he's working in a high risk setting.
Yeah.
He can bring it home still. So in a sense, I understand when they're vaccinating those frontline workers, for example, like the special education teachers or people who work in grocery stores or whatever. But what about their families? Because they're also being exposed to this. I mean, from what they're saying, even if you've been vaccinated, you can still actually get it. It doesn't actually prevent you. Same with the flu vaccine. I mean, some people are thinking the flu shot prevents you from getting the flu. It actually doesn't do that. It's not designed for that. It's to help. It can help prevent you from getting it, but it's really to stop severe adverse reactions to it, like death.
Yeah.
That's really what it's for. Like any vaccine, really.
Of course.
But the thing is, they can be vaccinated, but he can still transfer that to me, kind of thing, or to anybody who works in these industries. They may get vaccinated, but the families are not. So I don't know. Maybe they should also vaccinate the families of people in high risk settings.
I agree with that.
I don't know.
So it's like, to these people that feel that it's all poppycock, BS, whatever, this is what I want to say to you. Take a good, hard look at yourself. Take a good, hard look at your neighborhood. There's a good marker, because neighborhoods will tell the story of what this virus is doing. You've worked with people that have been affected. And smarten up. Don't read things that are half truths and innuendo.
Right.
Believe the professionals, the CDC, the World Health Organization, your medical professionals. These are the people that are telling us the information that we need to do and to survive this.
Well, one of the things I keep hearing, because I've got a few people on my Facebook list and stuff that keep bringing up the flu season. Oh, nobody's got the flu this year. Nobody's got the flu this year. Actually, they have. And it's really easy to find the numbers. Just look it up. I did. I don't remember what they are, but they're still in the tens of thousands, believe it or not. Are they as high as they normally would be, say, the year before COVID? No, And there's a good reason for this because it's also respiratory illness, just like COVID is.
Yes.
So the same measures that we're using to prevent ourselves from getting COVID, we're preventing ourselves from getting the flu or even a cold. But it is still happening. So, but like I want to say to them that keep saying that, well, it's just the flu. Nobody's got the flu this year. It's always COVID. Well, the thing is, when did they ever report flu numbers?
Never.
Then I've never heard the news report any flu numbers. So, that argument's kind of moot because the news never reports flu numbers. I've never seen it. I mean, I don't just watch broadcast news.
No.
Because of what I do, I actually pay attention to worldwide, global news from multiple sources, not just like, how a lot of people will say, oh, it's liberal news or conservative news.
Yeah.
Well, I don't just pay attention to, say, our local broadcast news. I look print, all that, like Reuters, AP, everybody, kind of both sides of the coin, kind of.
Exactly.
And like anybody should do is listen to all of it.
Yeah.
And then throw away what really doesn't make sense at all, or that's really heavily skewed one way or another. I mean, granted, there are ones that are very heavily skewed one way or the other. So, and I mean, really get accurate information from them because they have an agenda.
Of course.
Because they're trying to push this narrative or this narrative. So, I mean, that's why. And it's not just the CDC. The CDC reports it, but they're not the only ones.
No.
Who's reporting it worldwide? And there's other medical things worldwide that are reporting it, so it's very easy to find it. And there have been cases, and there have been deaths from the flu. It's not just COVID, but they never reported it on the news. I've never seen it, so unless it's really bad season, but not even then, really.
I will even say, like, in my 50 years, I have not seen it.
No.
And
no. So it's kind of a
dumb
argument because you never see it.
It's a dumb point to bring up, and it's a dumb point to try and beat people over the head with.
Right.
So it's like we brought this up a number of episodes back. Let's bring common sense back into this. Let's start listening. Because we're at 4,000 over 4,000 cases now. And
just in Ontario, it's not Canada-wide. Canada, I think, was over 7,000. So you see where most of the cases were, right? I mean, granted now, Alberta and BC have, because we don't talk about Alberta and BC as much, but because here we don't get a lot of their news. So when I do, I have to search for it. So it's probably the case for those provinces as well. But Alberta, I think, from what I understand, is under its BC is under its first lockdown since last March. So that tells you something. They have done relatively well, much better than Ontario has. And Alberta has now banned, because they've tried not to. They've been a lot like Quebec in that respect, where they don't want to ban like indoor dining and stuff. But they have. They're banning indoor dining. Both gyms are closed, and I think schools are open. BC schools are still open.
Yes.
But what they're doing in BC is they are now reporting on exposures in schools in BC. So, and it's really up to the parents, kind of thing, whether or not they want to pull their kids. I do not know if they're doing online learning. Not that I've heard as an alternate.
No, that's one
they
thing
are here. Yeah. They are here, but I don't know. I haven't heard if BC is.
No, I haven't heard anything either.
In Alberta, I think their schools are still open, from what I've seen. So now on the opposite, again, haven't heard much about Manitoba or Saskatchewan either. No. Their numbers have been relatively low compared to ours. The Northwest Territories, Yukon, and none of it have also done very well.
That's true.
Have very minimal cases.
Yes.
And same with New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. So they've all done very well. There's just Quebec and Ontario that can't seem to get the crap together.
And you know what, guys? It looks like.
But I guess it's because it's that the two most heavily populated. Ontario's the biggest province in Canada. It's the most heavily populated. Quebec's very close. So, but actually, Quebec used to do worse than us. Now they're doing better than us. Although they just reported well over 1,000. But we're like almost double them, or not about triple them. So
This is going to be a hot button topic for a good long while.
well, we're well over a year into it.
Exactly, and
So,
like us in
no end in sight.
and us in Ontario, this is our third lockdown.
It's third lockdown, yeah, province wide,
Province wide.
and it's stay at home order too.
And our third stay at home order, or maybe it's
second. It's our second stay at home order, I think, and third lockdown, I think.
Either,
I don't think he didn't issue a stay at home order the first, because people were staying at home the first lockdown.
So
that's changed.
Will the kids come back after our March-April break?
I don't think so.
Not
right away.
I'm going to say no, not like you, not right away.
No,
because the numbers are ridiculous. Mm-hmm.
Well, here they are.
Here in our province, they are.
And GTA, they are.
And there's still work to be done, and it's until we start doing that work, we're going to be discussing this more often. If you guys have any opinions or views on this, how is this affecting you? How do you feel about this? We would love to hear from you. So shoot us a comment in the comment section below, because we want to know what's your opinion. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? The only way we can kind of get on the same page is if we hear from one another. Thank you so much for like delving into this topic with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And it's like you and I will probably discuss this again.
Oh, well, it's such an ongoing topic. I mean, and it changes quite a bit. I mean, we're in a lockdown, we're out of a lockdown, staying home, we're not staying at home. I mean, it's just big box stores should close, they shouldn't close. I mean, like we've talked about, just going back to big box stores,
yes,
when they're talking about they should have closed them. Well, I understand why people think that way.
Yeah.
To close them and to give the little stores a chance. We know people who have small businesses and stuff, and so, of course we want them to succeed. The problem being, if you close big box stores, now you're putting thousands of people out of work.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lay them off.
Of course.
Because Walmart and that don't ship from their stores, they ship from a distribution center, so they don't need the employees in stores. And I mean, you're talking hundreds of stores right across Canada, so they're going to lay them off.
Yeah.
So now you've got thousands of people out of work and on EI, and then that trickles down to the distribution centers, to the manufacturers, to the trucking companies. So I mean, if you don't have that much work available, well, you're laying them off. So this is another reason that it's not necessarily a good idea to close down the big box stores.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not actually going to help the small businesses.
No.
What would help them, and we said this before, because there isn't so much of a spread, and you're not having hundreds of people in a small store, they could allow them to be open. They really could. I mean, like, you don't see lineups down the block in a small store. You just don't.
No.
So, I mean, we don't anyway. Maybe you guys do in your area. It's possible, but we don't. So it's never made that much sense to me that they've done that. So I think they could allow them to open, because they have been very good at controlling. They don't get hundreds of people in the stores at once at all, even during the weekends. So I think they could allow them to open. I mean, save these businesses. They are the backbone.
I agree.
You can leave the big box stores open, but regulate them better, so that you're not having lineups around the block.
No.
Which is what's ridiculous. Or having, I mean, the one which is really what prompted this whole thing. It was like the weekend, I believe 2 weeks ago, maybe. It was Yorkdale Mall. Somebody, I think it was a TikTok video, and there was tons of people at Yorkdale Mall. It was packed. It was like a regular, almost Saturday. So that's really what's prompted this shutdown of malls and stuff. In the big box store. So, I mean, that's really where your problem lies in retail. So if they actually could control that better, you wouldn't necessarily need to shut it off to people who need these
No,
doors or these
exactly.
jobs, and you'd still be able to help the small businesses survive. There has to be a better way of doing this and how they're doing it.
And that I agree with. There, you need to really fine tune this
Yeah.
in a big way
Yeah.
to make it conducive to all parties, like
Right.
the mom and pops and the big box.
Yeah. And so people aren't out of work either.
Yeah,
So,
and keep people gainfully employed.
yeah.
You know,
And also keep people safe. There has to
exactly.
be some way to do this
And
that they're not doing.
until this happens, until like our big thinkers can actually figure this out,
They can figure it out. Yeah, that's the question.
we're gonna still be kind of like trying to put a square peg in a round hole with this situation.
Well, because like they're saying, they're doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's
not
like
changing anything.
It's like they're stuck in that groove, and
Yeah.
and you know, I'm hoping we can fix things. I'm hoping we can get on a better path.
Well, because if we actually want to have summer this year,
Yeah.
we have to start now because
Exactly.
we're 2 months away from the end of school.
Yeah.
Till June.
Yeah.
And then you're in summer.
Yeah.
And because now people are protesting into thousands and
Yeah.
still gathering, and
Yeah.
workplaces are not following what they're supposed to be doing, and whatever else, it's not looking too good
No.
to have a good summer this year. I mean, do you want to have a summer or not?
I'd like to.
I would too. It'd be nice to actually be able to do some stuff,
Exactly.
you know, and have things open. I mean, I know a lot of people for anti-maskers or the protesters, I guess.
Yeah.
They're saying stop living in fear, live your life. Well,
I'd like to live my life.
We can only speak for us. I don't know. There might be people who are living in fear or paranoid or whatever. I don't know. Maybe there is, but we're not. We're not saying it because we're living in fear. We still go out. He still works.
Yep.
You know, we still shop. All that we just do things that are safe.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just they're not going to open up because you say so. This is kind of it's just going to make them dig their heels in tighter.
Yeah.
Really.
The more you force it,
obviously
the more.
The numbers are going up.
Yeah.
It's coming from somewhere. So
exactly.
You know, I don't know. Maybe try to do it just a bit.
You know,
I don't know.
If you give a little, you'll get a little. You know.
Yeah, but we see that it works. The Maritimes did it.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much living a normal life. Australia did it.
Japan
and
did it.
I mean, like we said before, Japan's done it. Their populations are comparable to ours. Australia is still slightly smaller in population than we have.
So,
and as people say, it's an island, but still, I'm just talking population-wise.
If these people can figure it out,
why can't we?
We should be able to figure it out.
Why can't we?
Why can't we?
Why can't we? I don't know. I wish we could.
Well, guys, this has been quite an intense discussion.
Yeah.
Please tune in next week. We normally would do a podcast episode, but we felt that this was important to do an extended. So, guys, please check us out next Sunday. We will do a podcast, and if it warrants, we will do another extended episode. I'd like to thank my co-host and best buddy and partner in crime,
thank you,
Four Towers, for coming in and talking about this subject with me. And hopefully you'll come back.
Oh, I will if I'm invited.
Of course you're invited. If you liked the video, guys, and you like what we're doing, please give us a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified every time we do go live.
And
subscribe. Subscribe.
And join us in the conversation.
And join in the conversation. And we will see you.
See, we're not the kind of people who even if we disagree with you, we want to hear different opinions.
The only way I can broaden my view and she can broaden her view is if we hear from you.
That's right.
And we can come together by listening.
Like what we've said before, we like to understand why people believe the way they do, why they think the way they do.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not judgmental. We're not going to say, "Oh, you're crazy."
I will honestly state before we close, I want to hear your opinion. I would like to.
Whether you agree with us or not.
Whether you agree with us. Yeah.
You know, you see, I'm sure you've seen it. People can't be disrespectful to each other, like on
Oh, for
Facebook
sure.
or whatever, if they don't agree with you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think you need to. I mean, if you disagree, you disagree. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. We disagree with a lot of people, but
Yeah.
we'll listen to them, and
Yeah.
they actually will have good conversations with us
Yeah.
too, because it's a respectful conversation.
Of
I mean,
course.
just because there's some things we're going to agree on.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not everything, but we're going to agree on some things. So I mean, it's good to
Exactly.
have that conversation. Nothing changes if you stick with one way and
Yeah.
never listen to each other.
The only way to do it is you got to do the work to make it work.
That's right.
And so,
Yeah.
guys, tune in next week, and we will have another discussion with you. I want you to come back,
Well, welcome back.
and we'll see you next
I
Sunday,
hope you
guys,
come back.
and hope you come back. Have a great week, guys, and we will see you soon.
Yes. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.